So we have two dynamic speakers who will provide an overview of various ways to optimize our health and nutrition. After the guest speakers, I will conduct a panel discussion followed by a live Q&A where each of you will get a chance to ask our speakers some questions. We will then ask everyone to complete a short survey that I'll put in the chat for you to enter for a chance to win a $75 grocery store gift card. So it is now my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Carolyn Nickel. Carolyn Nickel is a certified holistic nutritionist and a graduate of the Durham School of Health Nutrition. For the last 7 years, she has been successful in helping reverse type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, digestion issues, heal psoriasis, and reverse stage 4 cancer, among other illnesses. She has worked with the Toronto District School Board, community centers, and various churches. She's appeared on CP24, CTV, and currently she is the owner of the Energy Shack Juice Bar with her husband, Colin Nickel. Carolyn believes that health is truly the greatest of all human blessings and that we are created to live life and live it abundantly. Following her program is designed to help you do just that. So please, let's give a virtual warm welcome to Carolyn Nickel.
Thank you so much, Stacy, and welcome to all of you. I just love when I see people taking the time out of their schedule to learn more information on how they can better heal, how they can eat better, make better choices. I know that life is busy, and for a lot of people, we are so tired right now of sitting in front of a screen, but yet you've joined us today, and I know you will not be disappointed. For some of you, some of this information you may have heard it before, but for others, especially what I know Dr. Dodd will be bringing to the table will be absolutely brand new. But more than anything, I think it gives us, even if you do know that you need to be making healthier choices, my hope is that I'll be able to motivate you to really do it, not just say, yes, I know, but to actually make the changes. I'm also realizing that as Stacy introduced me, I need to update my bio because it's been more than 10 years now, actually, that I've been doing this whole health and healing business. And what I do use is what we call the 8 Laws of Health. On my website, it's called the 8 Secrets of Healing New Start, which is an acronym. And I'm not going to go through that in its entirety today, but what I do want to tell you is that I have not, in my 10 years of being a certified holistic nutritionist, I have not had one paid client come through my door and not find healing. I mean, to have 100% success rate is not tooting my horn because I don't believe this. I didn't invent this program, but it is incredible. I want you to never, ever forget that your body and my body was designed to heal itself. Genetics has less than a 10% role to play in your health and my health. Our lifestyle, our diet, our way of living is what pulls the trigger on disease. And so I want to go through with you today some of the items, some of the foods, some of the schedules, some of the way of eating, and also some natural remedies that I don't think will surprise you, but more than anything, in my business, I have learned that simplicity is the key. We don't need superfoods imported from all over the country and other countries. What we need is a simplistic diet. So let me just share with you very quickly some of the things that we can be doing to find optimal health and healing. So first of all, as I mentioned, that I use what's called the 8 Laws of Health. It's a New Start program, and it was designed by a Christian woman in the 1800s. This was not developed by Carolyn, which I love because I can't take any credit or my head would be bigger than my store. So these simple laws of health, the proper nutrition, making sure every day you're getting at least 30 minutes of exercise. You need some cardio, but it really should be like 30 minutes of cardio, then another 30 minutes of some good weight training. Water is so important. There are way too many beverage choices out there. All we need is water. That is the truth of the matter. Sunshine is so healing, and I know for those who are listening in Canada, we are entering into spring, and it's just everybody's in a good mood because the sun has come out. But that doesn't happen just by chance. That's because when the sun hits your pineal gland, which is behind your eyes, it's stimulated, and it begins to release serotonin, and that is the hormone that makes us feel happy. So it's normal that people would go through depression when there's no sunshine, and when there's sunshine, everyone's like, you hit my car, oh, that's too bad. The sun is shining. Also temperance, which is, it's a big one. Temperance is not moderation. Temperance, definition in my book anyway, is staying away from things that are harmful and being moderate with good things. I hear so many people telling me, oh yeah, nuts are so good for me. That's why I have, 5 handfuls a day and I'm eating nuts all day long. Well, now they're not good for you because you're eating them all the time. So, eating a whole avocado every day in a sitting is not good for you, although avocados are good for you. So moderation with things that are good for you and staying away completely with things that are harmful. Fresh air is so important. Get outside, just do some deep breathing, do your walking outside. That oxygen helps to heal and repair. Your cells on a cellular level, in order to heal, need lots of oxygen. Get it outside. Sleep with the windows slightly open. Drive with your windows down on your car. Rest is so neglected. We are staying up late. We are pushing the hours so tight, only 5-6 hours. We need 7 hours sleep, folks. We need to get in bed, if possible, by 10 o'clock. We need to absolutely sleep, because I want you to know that when you sleep, that is when your body heals and repairs. And if I can give a little prelude to what I'm going to say, it is very hard to do that when you have food in your stomach at night. And we are a Christian organization and truly believe that when you are stressed out and when you are worried about everything and when you're anxious about everything, wow, you would probably be healthier eating a big, fat, juicy hamburger happy every day than a stressed out plant-based eater, that has no trust in God or or anxious or worried about everything. So time to de-stress, or really trusting in divine power. So those are the 8 laws of health, which I'm not going to focus on entirely. I just want you to understand that the biggest meal of the day really needs to be your breakfast. And we truly believe in following a plant-based diet that is a whole grain plant-based diet. Not meals on the go, not starting, fasting all morning, doing this intermittent fasting where you fast all morning, you don't start eating till like 12, 1 o'clock, then your next meal's at 8, and then you go to bed. Well, that is a recipe for disease. But what we do recommend is that you start your day with a nice, big, healthy breakfast. And the other thing that's important is we are not eating enough raw food. We use fruit sometimes as snacks or as desserts to meals. But the truth is that you need about 2 to 3 cups of fruit before you even eat your breakfast. The other thing that a lot of us are missing is water. But here's the thing, that if there are some Energy Shack followers listening in, they have heard this before. But for those who have never heard this before, your water should never be consumed with your meals. Always wait 1 to 2 hours after you eat. Water will dilute your stomach enzymes, and that creates a mess in the stomach gut. And 90% of the people that I speak to are experiencing gas, bloating, or acid reflux. And this happens when we snack all through the day, interrupting digestion. And when we eat and drink at the same time, this also becomes an issue. So make sure you're drinking water, and only water between your meals. Do not put lemon in it. Do not drop cilantro in it. Do not add a little bit of vitamin powder. Don't drink coconut water, don't have herbal tea, and definitely don't have any coffee. But don't drink anything in your water between your meals. Let food digest, and let's stop interrupting our digestive system, because that robs us of energy. The other thing, folks, is that we need to be having healthier meals. So we highly recommend that you have your dinner at lunchtime or your dinner at breakfast. This is my breakfast here. I eat my fruits in the afternoon. But either way, what I want to show you is that here's a plate of food and here's a plate of salad. The salad is as big as the main course. This is how you want to eat in your life, where you have a nice big leafy green salad. And after the salad, then you can have your brown rice, your chickpeas, and your vegetables. But we really need to be loading up at breakfast, and then again, maybe around 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then that's it. We need to give digestion a break and just move on to water or herbal tea and get to bed early. This is not a new fad or a diet. If you go back, turn the clock back 100 years or 200 years, let's go back 200 years, maybe more. I don't know. When did electricity really come out? I am such a child of the 80s, not knowing that much about electricity, but the truth is that when our forefathers did not have electricity, nobody ate dinner because they couldn't see anything at night. But we have TVs and we have lights and we have popcorn, and now let's watch the TV with our electricity, and let's turn the light on so we can see our dinner. And now we're eating at night and going to bed. And folks, we are sick. I also want to share with you that variety is such an important key of healing. Just because you like apples, oranges, and bananas, it doesn't mean you should eat it all the time. You absolutely, and I absolutely, need to be able to have a variety in our diet, because it's the antioxidant-rich foods that are full of colors, and that helps to heal our cells, especially cancer cells. And in fact, all disease at a cellular level is free radical damage, so we need our antioxidants. But make sure you use a variety. Don't always have the same food all the time. And even if kiwis aren't your favorite, have one once in a while. Be a big boy, be a big girl. Eat a few things you don't like just because it's healthy for you and it will grow on you. I also want to emphasize the fact that phytonutrients are so important. Those are found in our dark leafy green vegetables. Now, I do not recommend that you start eating kale in your salad and chop up those collard greens and eat that in your salad. That's not what I'm saying, because those are hard to digest. But you should have cooked kale. Use your lettuce leaves, your baby spinach leaves, arugula. Those are great things to put in your salad. But up here in the corner, you'll see dandelion, so incredible for the liver. Cabbage, extremely healing. Swiss chard. There's so many different leafy greens. Those tops of the beets are full of nutrients. So we need to have a variety. When you see a different variety in the store, especially local greens, grab them, cook them. If they're soft greens, chop them in your salad. But variety is the key, because this, folks, this is nutrient-dense food. You know, I joke a lot about the amount of food I eat in the day. Is if you count up the calories, it's so small. But they're so nutrient-dense, I don't need a lot of calories to have a lot of energy. I have a lot of energy all the time. But my calories are low, but my nutrients are high. I just don't eat a lot of empty calories, if any at all. And that's the key. When your body has to work less on digesting all this food, if it can get the same amount of nutrients in less calories, you and I have more energy, because the digestive system requires the most energy of the human body. So just to wrap it up, I just want to remind you about this temperance law, because it's very important to understand that foods that harm are foods that we should never let enter into our human body. And of course, I know that everybody listening has not been a nutritionist like I have for 10 years and seeing all these diseases. And so it's easy for me to say, yep, I'm never going to touch that again. You're on a journey, but I do want you to be aware that there are some things that you may be consuming that you actually might think is healthy for you. And so I just want to kind of debunk that myth tonight, because if I can do that, then if you do have your pizza, or if you do drink your glass of wine, you will say, you know, I know this isn't great for me, but I'm having a treat today. And that's where you want to be. So understanding that sugar, let's start with the basic, is just white sugar is not the only harmful sugar. Brown sugar is the same as white sugar, believe it or not. It does not have the molasses that it originally had. And speaking of molasses, table molasses is not healthy for you, but it's the blackstrap molasses that's having all of the wonderful nutrients and minerals like iron. Honey, great. And if although I don't call myself a vegan, plant-based, because I will eat honey, but it's the raw unpasteurized honey that has the healing power. It is not the honey on the shelf that's been heated and pasteurized and now metabolizes just like sugar. So maple syrup, great option. But again, do we need a lot of sugar? Once in a while here and there, but we really don't need to sweeten everything. I want to just quickly move to this picture of coffee beans and cacao. Folks, cacao, the darker the chocolate, the higher the caffeine. Caffeine destroys the nervous system, your digestive system. Caffeine is a harmful drug that should not enter any human being's body. Coffee, plants are natural. I do believe God created it. But great, guess what? It's great for an exfoliant. It's wonderful for an enema, but not good for your stomach and for your brain. So that's black tea, green tea, white tea, coffee, and chocolate. Of course, we know that processed food, but especially wheat, is very, very inflammatory causing. You see the cheese that's there on the pizza. These are harmful foods. Any kind of, in my opinion, anything that's outside of the plant-based world, even fish, chicken, beef, I do not believe that these are foods that human beings should be consuming today. Vinegar. I purposely put this picture of vinegar right beside the alcohol because vinegar, whether it's apple cider, whether it's red wine, white wine vinegar, this is wine fermented, folks. That's why it's called red wine vinegar. We know that alcohol poisons the liver. I know that red wine has lots of flavonoids, but so do my grapes. I think I'd rather eat the grapes than poison my liver. But did you know that vinegar metabolizes in your liver just like alcohol? It is highly toxic. Use lemon juice or lime juice instead. And so finally, I just want to share with you the natural remedies, no matter what your health issue, is not all the way in South Africa or South America or in the rainforest. Natural remedies are right here. We grow all of these things: turmeric, onions, garlic, ginger, cabbage. These are my top favorite remedies outside of charcoal, but I don't want to promote charcoal too much because people abuse that a bit. However, onions are so healing. If we can even start there by blending some onions with some garlic and a whole lemon and a whole orange with the skin on in a blender. If you have a cold and you take that, woo, you will be healed. It's an amazing remedy. You can also cut an onion in half. It has pulling properties, so it can actually pull toxins from your system. I used to, when my kids would have a fever, I would cut the onion in half, put it at the bottom of their feet, put a sock on their feet, and I tell you, fever was gone so quickly. If you can stand the smell and you have an earache, you can take your onion, cut it in half, and put it right on your ear, strap it around your head, and it will begin to pull. You can put a little paper towel there if you like. It'll begin to pull the toxins right out of your ear. These are amazing, amazing, simple, powerful foods that you can actually grow in your own garden. Garlic is so powerful. It is a natural antibiotic almost instantly. I'll tell you, you can take garlic and just blend it in a little bit of water and drink that as soon as the sign of a cold coming on. You can put some lemon and honey to make it go down and even be more potent. But ginger is powerful. You can have an infection and take that instead. It will take away a bladder infection. Anytime you need an antibiotic, garlic right here is the answer. Females, sorry, males, you can cover your ears if you want to right now, but females, you're fighting a yeast infection, garlic clove, you can insert that. Keep that in all day, just chop the top, chop the bottom, And it can just take away your yeast infection, believe it or not, in just 1 to 2 days. Ginger is such a powerful healer, especially for viral infections. You can, again, just blend that ginger, mix it with a bit of lemon honey. I'm sure that is no surprise to anybody. You can boil it and still get the same healing properties. Ginger is anti-inflammatory as well. It's great for the liver. I'm going to move quickly. Turmeric, extremely, extremely anti-inflammatory. The properties in turmeric are so powerful. You don't want to take too much. It can really cause heart palpitations if you do. We cold press it here at the Energy Shack. Organic ginger, mix that with a little bit of cayenne powder and some fresh organic lemon juice, and I'll tell you, it will open up your blood vessels and dilate them so quickly. If you have a headache, you count to 3, it will be gone by 2. It is extremely powerful to bring any inflamed areas down and calm. And finally, I want to talk to you about cabbage. Cabbage is one of my favorite natural remedies for poultices. Breast cancer, lumps, pain in the body. Just get your regular green Canadian Ontario cabbage, wrap those leaves around the area that has the issue and tighten, secure that with cotton cloth or something, and you can find that the pain will start to leave that area. If you have psoriasis, if you have very bad skin, just wrap the hand or the arm or the leg in leaves of cabbage and leave that overnight, and you will see really starting to heal. You'll see your skin starting to heal in the morning. You can grate your cabbage, put it in a cloth, and believe me, I'm going to tell you how you can get more of these remedies, but put it in a cloth, a damp paper towel, and you can also put it on a sore. You can put it on a patch of skin that's itchy, wrap that up, and you will find that the cabbage is so healing. It's so healing. Now, of course, eating it is a different story, and juicing it is powerful for healing the stomach lining. I could go on for days with natural remedies, and I'm sure you could listen, but folks, if I can plug a little commercial in here, more information about our programs can be found at theenergyshackjuicebar.com. That is the phone number of the store, and I want you to know that my consultations are not free, but you can get me or one of our nutritionists for just $35 by booking a consultation. You just go right to the Energy Shack website and you just click on consultation. A video will come up of me explaining the laws of health, but underneath there's a health intake form. Fill that out, hit send, and a nutritionist will be in touch with you within 48 hours. We also do lots of detoxes. We have a cold press juicer here, so we can put you on a fast, get those toxins out of your body, and we deliver almost everywhere except out of Ontario. But we go pretty far, all the way to Hamilton, Woodbridge, Oshawa, Brampton. We really go far. So for $10, can you imagine? And it's free over $75. We also do meals, sandwiches, wraps. We have an incredible chef who will cook your vegan meals for you. But folks, if you want more natural remedies, you want more help in your health, guess what? Starting at $10, become an Energy Shack member. Just click on subscription on our website or subscribe. And for just $10 a month, you will get in your inbox every week a natural remedy. Our programs go up to $50. You can get recipes each week. You can get a personal trainer giving you exercises. And once a month, which will happen tonight at 8:30, you get a free question and answer time with your nutritionist. All your questions answered for just $10 a month. So there's lots of ways that even those with a super low budget can get these simple natural remedies and all the information you need to help you on the road for healing. And if you go online and watch that video, your consultation is free because I actually explain it all. So I will pass that off to Stacy, and I hope that that information was very helpful and will help you again on the road to healing.
Thank you so much, Carolyn, for that insightful plant-based diet overview, which is really helpful and informative. I learned a lot and I was taking notes as well. Sometimes you think you've learned a lot and then you realize, I didn't know that about cabbage, juicing cabbage. Never thought to juice cabbage. So this is great. And so we'll come back for the Q&A. So it's now my pleasure to introduce our second and final speaker, Dr. Richard Dodd, who some of you may know in the community. Dr. Dodd is a graduate with honors in human biology and biomedical sciences from the University of Guelph since in 1988. He then completed 4 years at the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine and received a diploma as a Doctor of Naturopathic Medicine in 1993. He has been in private practice for over 25 years, operating the Naturopath Integrative Healthcare. Dr. Dodd was previous Vice President of the Canadian Association of Naturopathic Doctors from 1998 to 1999 and past President of the Ontario Association of Naturopathic Doctors from 1998 to 2001. He was also a member of clinical faculty at the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine from 1999 to 2001. He received an award for Naturopathic Doctor of the Year in 2014 and the African Canadian Achievement Award for Medicine in 2016. In his practice, he utilizes homeopathy, botanic herbal medicine, clinical nutrition, and lifestyle coaching. Dr. Dodd's practice is family-based, including treatment of conditions such as allergies, arthritis, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, gastrointestinal conditions. His area of expertise and passion is cancer prevention and treatment. Dr. Dodd also presents health and wellness workshops to various groups in the community, as well as corporate lunch and learn seminars as a part of a corporate wellness program. So please, let's give a warm virtual welcome to Dr. Dodd, and I'm going to bring up the presentation.
Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction, Stacy. I just want to start with the A, B's, and C's of naturopathic medicine, because I do believe that there's a lot of misconception, issues, confusion about what is a naturopathic doctor. There's lots of good practitioners doing great things in natural medicine, but they're not necessarily naturopathic doctors. Okay. Sorry, I just lost my screen.
Okay, can you see the screen now? Can you see it? Perfect.
There we are. We're good. There we go.
Awesome.
So just to get everybody on the same page in terms of what is naturopathic medicine and what is a naturopathic doctor, we are general practitioners who utilize naturopathic therapies to stimulate the healing process in the body, but also dealing with the natural healing process of nature. So we use clinical nutrition, acupuncture and Chinese medicine, botanical or herbal medicine, homeopathy or homeopathic medicine, lifestyle counseling, and intravenous or injection therapy. So these modalities are and used to stimulate the healing process. So we're really jack of all trades and master of none. We're not nutritionists. We're not acupuncturists or oriental medicine specialists. We're not herbalists. We're not homeopaths. But we are using all aspects of this and integrating it to stimulate the healing process. Next slide, please. So for those people that haven't seen a naturopathic doctor, I just wanted to give a brief outline in terms of what you could expect when you visit a naturopathic doctor. And it's very important to know that when you see a naturopathic doctor, the main focus, particularly in the first visit, is to understand what the underlying cause of the condition. We're not treating symptoms. We're not using drugs. we're getting to the root cause of the problem. And so that takes time. So in my practice, the initial visit is 2 hours. We take a detailed case history. We do a thorough physical exam. And in my practice, I have an in-house test where we use blood, urine, and saliva to assess organ function, vitamin and mineral status, how the organs are functioning, how's the immune system is working, how is your kidneys functioning, how's your digestive system functioning. Basically, from head to toe, we're able to do a general assessment as to how that individual is functioning. We also do a dietary analysis, and as Carolyn clearly gave us a great presentation on how important diet is and healthy eating. We want to get an indication of what people are eating, and so I'm able to assess their diets and do an analysis. So once we've gathered all that information over that 2-hour period, we're able to put together a treatment plan. And in many cases, we're going to integrate the modalities that we spoke about earlier, meaning the nutritional piece, acupuncture, herbal medicines, homeopathic medicines, lifestyle counseling if necessary, or IV therapy or injection therapy. Next slide, please. And this is really the important piece, is that, you know, if you're looking for a naturopathic doctor, you want to ask the questions, and you want to know that your naturopath is giving you a naturopathic diagnosis. Now, sometimes that's a little bit of a different diagnosis than what you might get from your MD or any other practitioner. But the most important aspect of that naturopathic visit is that naturopathic doctor treating the cause. Are they doing any kind of testing to assess what the cause is? And once they've tested and put together a treatment plan, are they doing any type of reassessment to continue to assess and reassess and understand your status? I think these things are the most important things that you should be looking for in your naturopathic doctor. Next slide, please. Now, one of the aspects of naturopathic treatments is, and this is a big part of my practice, I have a lot of patients that come in with chronic pain conditions or degenerative conditions. And so what we're looking for in order to help these people is, where is the inflammation coming from? And in many cases, inflammation can be caused or aggravated by acidity, and this acid is really coming from, in most cases, diet. Sometimes it can be coming from exogenous chemicals like drugs or other environmental chemicals. Something called oxidative stress, which is really free radicals and toxic elements that are in our environment that cause cellular damage, which can cause or aggravate the inflammation. And then we also look at the patient's toxic load. How toxic are you? And really, toxicity, on which again was talked about by our previous speaker, toxicity is a huge issue because most of the chronic degenerative diseases that we're dealing with, whether it's cancer, whether it's neurological conditions, whether it's allergies, autoimmune conditions, in most cases, the toxic load or the toxicity of the patient is a huge issue, and so we have to look at ways to detoxify and remove toxins from the body to help the patient. Next slide, please. And often the question that comes up is, what's the difference between naturopathic medicine and conventional medicine? And certainly the beginning of answering that question is, generally speaking, the naturopathic doctor is treating the cause and not the symptoms. So, for example, in cancer, in many of the cancer patients that I see, the cause of the cancer is high levels of toxicity. Sometimes it can be dietary, sometimes it can be emotional, sometimes it can be heavy metals or environmental chemicals, but the individual's having difficulty removing and eliminating those toxins. Another example of the causative factors being important in understanding how to treat the patient is skin conditions like eczema. I mean, eczema 90 to 95% of the time is caused by food sensitivities. It's difficulty digesting the food, and the body is not able to eliminate it, and it makes its way out into the skin. And this is where we get eczema and other skin issues. So again, if you don't understand that the cause of that eczema is food related and digestive related, the cause is treating the cause is not using an ointment or rubbing something on the skin. It's not originating from the skin. The root cause is the gut, and I would say 80% of what we deal with in terms of health issues originates in the gut. Another difference between naturopathic medicine and conventional medicine is naturopathic medicine is really about using substances and protocols that stimulate our innate healing capacity. We all have the ability to heal. We've all had bumps, bruises, cuts, lacerations, surgeries, scars. The body has an inherent ability to be able to heal itself. Now, there are situations where that healing capacity is blocked or slowed, and that's the job of natural medicines, is to stimulate that process, accelerate it, and improve it. Detoxification is another major concept within naturopathic medicine. And as I mentioned earlier, so many of our conditions, particularly in the environment that we're living in, especially in North America, is related to toxic environment. We have toxins in our tap water. We have all kinds of toxins in our food. We even have toxins going into our mouths through dental work. For example, root canals and amalgam fillings, which the amalgam fillings thankfully are not being used so much anymore. But in the past, those amalgam fillings, the old silver fillings, they're 50% mercury. That can cause a lot of health problems when it's sitting in your mouth. So it's these kinds of toxicity issues that your naturopathic doctor has to assess, possibly test for, and address. Again, naturopathic medicine versus conventional medicine, all naturopathic treatments are chemical and drug-free solutions. And last but not least, certainly a big difference between naturopathic medicine and conventional medicine is considering lifestyle, spiritual, emotional factors that may become an obstacle to healing. I've seen hundreds of patients where they've had emotional conflicts or emotional blocks, whether it was a family member or a spouse or a child or a parent, and if they weren't able to get over that emotional conflict, it was an obstacle to them getting better in terms of their physical health. And so a lot of these spiritual, emotional aspects can express themselves physically. And so the spiritual and emotional content should never be overlooked. And I feel as though it's often overlooked in the conventional model. Next slide, please. just wanted to talk a little bit about health optimization and immune support, being that it's a huge topic today. We're all concerned about having the strongest possible immune system with the viral problem that we have. Despite all the controversy as to what treatments work and what drugs work with respect to COVID, I don't want this to be a COVID discussion, but this particular protocol that I'm talking about is helpful for viral infections, fungal infections, bacterial infections, really any or parasites, worms, any type of organism that can attack the body. And at the end of the day, and again, this is another concept of naturopathic medicine, is we are addressing the cause. The cause isn't necessarily eradicating the bug. The best way to address the cause is to stimulate the immune system, so the immune system can eradicate the bug, because often the toxic chemicals that we use or antibiotics or vaccines, we're unaware and we don't know about the side effects and what kind of a negative effect it can have in your body in the long run. So this slide here is just a good little home remedy to help with immune support. So 5,000 milligrams a day of vitamin C, 5,000 international units of vitamin D, zinc citrate, and it's important to get the citrate form because it's better absorbed than some of the other forms, and that's 50 milligrams per day. And then to go along with that, you want to get a good probiotic, in other words, beneficial gut bacteria. Probably a lesser known fact is that 80% of the cells of the immune system are produced in the digestive system, in the gut. So guess what, folks? If you don't have a healthy gut, you're probably not going to have a healthy immune system. So that part is very important. Next slide, thanks. So because detoxification and toxicity is such an important factor, one of the treatments that I offer in my clinic is a relatively new idea. It's called ionic cleansing. And for those that are not familiar with an ion is an atom or a molecule with a net electrical charge. And so what we do is we create an ionic frequency or field in water, and we have the patient immerse their feet in the water. And what the process does is it creates a combination of positive and negative charged particles in the water, and the ionized water in the foot bath will attract the toxins, which often have a negative charge. And once they connect with positive charged particles in the water, it neutralizes the toxins. So it literally draws toxins out of the body. And so as a result, we see more cleansing and purification of toxins from the body. And what I love about this treatment, it's very effective, safe, painless, non-invasive, no needles or pins, with absolutely no side effects. So if it's something that you haven't tried or given a shot, it's really something to consider in terms of detoxification. Next slide, please. And I guess that's the end. For those who wanted to get a hold of me or chat with me or go into any more detail, you can reach me. I'm in Mississauga, 5151 Tompkin Road in in Mississauga, and I can be reached at 905-206-0732. And I'm happy to talk to anybody that calls, and I hope to talk to you all soon.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dodd, for that very informative and enlightening presentation. There's a lot to learn and very, very helpful. So I hope all of you found it helpful. So we're now going to use this part of the workshop to have a panel discussion with some questions that we came up with. So the first question will be for you, Carolyn, and this is about water. Water is so healing and essential, but we have a hard time having the right amount of water. So how can we increase our water intake, and how can we develop the habit that you mentioned earlier to drink after we eat? So I remember growing up being told, don't drink while you eat then drink, but without the explanation as to why, right? And so I, of course, have the habit, you eat, you drink, you eat, you drink. So what are some tips on how we can develop that good habit of waiting that 1 hour, and how can we increase our water intake?
Absolutely. So that's a great question, because water should absolutely be the beverage of choice. So first of all, you want to do the formula of take your body weight divided by 2 and then divide that by 8. So your body weight divided by 2, then divide it by 8. And that gives you a basic formula for how much water you should be drinking. Now, keep in mind, if you are going to eat a plant-based diet and you're going to eat in the way that I recommended, a big bowl of fruits for breakfast before your grains or whatever, and a big salad before your main course at lunchtime, keep in mind that salads and fruits are like 80% water. So it doesn't always have to necessarily come from water cups, but what you want to do is always wait an hour after you eat. And if you need to, put your phone timer on, let it beep you, and take your water with you. Have it at your desk. Always fill it up. As soon as it gets low, fill it up again. It will just become a habit to keep drinking instead of reaching into your drawer and grab the almonds. Instead, just keep drinking water. And then the last thing I would tell you is look at your urine. This is very important. About an hour after you eat, your urine should be a darker yellow, because food is just digesting and, you know, all the proteins are coming out. But what you want to do is right after you have had your water, closer to the time that you're hungry again, your urine should start getting clear, and it should be almost clear before you have your second meal. But if it's clear all the time, you're drinking too much water.
That is so helpful. Thank you for that. The next question is for you, Dr. Dodd. So what are some alternative ways to increase our intake of vitamins and minerals if we're not getting it from foods? I know you mentioned in your presentation IV therapies. So would you be able to elaborate a little bit about how that could perhaps help folks top up on those essential vitamins and minerals?
Absolutely. Well, one of the biggest problems that arise is that, as I mentioned earlier, probably about 80% of patients that come in have digestive issues. And so part of the process is to work with the digestive issues. But at the same time, we don't want to load the digestive system down with a lot of pills and potions and powders. So what we want to do is give vitamins and minerals, amino acids, and any other nutrients intravenously. But with intravenous therapy, it bypasses the digestive system and goes straight into the bloodstream. So when we take a pill or a powder, we're lucky if we're absorbing 20% of it. Whereas if you use an injection therapy or an IV, you're looking at 95% absorption. So that way we can focus on a healthy diet, which will give the digestive system a rest and allow the digestive system to heal and improve. I'm not saying that they have to be on IV therapy forever, but while they're going through their healing process, we can take the load off the system and go intravenously.
Wow, that's really helpful to know. Thank you for that clarification. My other question is for you, Carolyn. How can we lower our cravings for that sugar and that salt? We all love the sugar and salt because it tastes good. And what are
Yeah, I
some
can tell you,
alternatives
there's
to both sugar and
billions
salt?
of dollars into
Mhm.
the science behind the right amount of sugar, salt, and fat so that it does become addictive for you and me. So one of the biggest things I always tell people, just start with one of our detoxes, or just do a little bit of a fast to give your body sort of a reset. We have detoxes that are just like 2 days, then it goes to 3 days, 5 days, longer if necessary, but we'd have to do a consultation for that. But anyway, that's a great way to reset. But believe it or not, the more raw, fresh food you have in your diet, the less you have cravings. Most of us, our body's always having these cravings for sugar, for salt, for fatty food, for crunchy food. But what your body is saying is, I need B vitamins, I need C vitamins, I need some more vitamin E. But we think those cravings and calling is for sugar. But the truth is, most of us are malnourished and our body is screaming for more nutrients, and we don't know how to interpret that. But when you can have big, live, fresh food in your diet, big salad before your main course and a bowl of fruits before your breakfast, you would be surprised that my clients tell me all the time within the first week, I can't believe I don't want a cookie. That's so weird. I'm walking by the dessert aisle and I don't want anything in there. Carol, what's happening to me? It's because they're so nourished.
Wow, that is so helpful to know. And one of the things you said in your videos that I watched, to have the raw fruits and vegetables
Or
before
the
your
cook.
cook. So before your oat meals and your hot meals, have the raw ones. So that's
Yeah,
helpful. Thank you
it
so
makes
much.
a difference.
The next question is for you, Dr. Dodd, and it's about a little bit about OHIP. And there's some things, unless you have started using the public healthcare system, people may not realize that not every test is covered and not every treatment is covered. So in terms of the type of test that we need to do to find out if we are efficient, maybe can you just elaborate a little bit on that process? I know for me, I've done the vitamin D test, but it's not covered by OHIP. So is there any comments you have about that challenge that people may not be aware of?
Well, unfortunately, looking at your vitamin and mineral status, which is very important, especially in certain conditions, is not something that's on the forefront of thought with conventional doctors. And so sometimes you have to go outside of the OHIP system to get that type of information. And so unfortunately, those types of testing is not covered by OHIP. I mean, you can push an MD who's an integrated MD who dabbles in a little bit of naturopathic medicine. You might be able to get them to look at some of the more unique vitamin and mineral analysis tests, but it's not something that's in the standard OHIP system.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that. And then I have a question for both of you. How does poor nutrition impact our health or contribute to chronic disease and inflammation? And both of you can just, perhaps we'll start with you, Carolyn.
Has everything to do it, as Dr. Dodds mentioned in his seminar, that many of the times that we're having inflammation or acidic blood, it's literally the foods that we're eating. I mean, so many of the foods that we consume today, the saturated fats, the wheat, the dairy, those are inflammatory causing foods. So it has everything to do. We literally are what we eat. We eat the flesh of dead animals, that's going inside our body. We're eating the breast milk for a baby cow and you're not a baby cow, it's going to be a problem. When you go against the grain of your human nature, it's going to create issues. You're eating refined sugar. It's refined. You are supposed to eat the sugar cane and bite it. You're not supposed to just try to take all the sugar out of it and leave the fiber alone. So when we're eating all of these things that our body was never designed to consume, your body's best defense is to get inflamed. That's what it's doing. It's trying to defend your cells and everything, but the response for that is inflammation.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Dodd, do you want to add any comments on that question?
That was so well said. I'm not sure if I can add to it. But yeah, I guess I'm just gonna reiterate it. But generally, foods that are low in vitamins, minerals, just promote more acidity, when your connective tissues become more acidic, they pull minerals out of the body. So that is just gasoline on the flame of inflammation, and also the beginning of inflammation. And without those nutrients, it slows down your ability to detoxify, and then that lack of vitality just leads to more inflammation, degeneration, cellular dysfunction, and then before you know it, we're into the disease state.
Right.
So it's just a slippery slope.
And then it's easy to get into the habit of treating the symptom, as you said, as opposed to getting to the root cause, which is what Carolyn said, changing your diet, having better digestion and more sleep. Before we open it up to the questions that are coming in the chat and the live questions, I do have a couple more questions that I hope will be helpful for everybody on the call. Can any of you comment on whether or not our blood type impacts the kinds of foods or diets we should or shouldn't adapt? And this is just for both of you.
Dr. Dodds, I don't want us to have opposing views because I don't believe in eating right for your blood type. So if you want me to start, I can, but if you would like to start.
Then you can add. Okay, so we'll leave that one for Dr. Dodd. Dr. Dodd, do you want to comment?
That was unbelievably diplomatic. Carolyn, are you considering politics?
Yes, did you want to start there, Dr. Dodd? Some insights?
Sure. I have to admit, early in my career, I was more of a disciple of the blood type diet idea. Especially, I was actually taught by Dr. D'Adamo, who's the father of the blood type diet. He taught us about colonics and colonic therapy. But I did find over the years in my career that there are some realities of with respect to the blood type diet. For example, people who are type A blood, who are meant to be the best plant-based diet people, there's no doubt about it. They have a much higher incidence of cancer, and so a lot of the plant-based foods have the anti-cancer compounds, like your cruciferous vegetables and so on and so forth. And then the other group, type O, I do find that they do tend to have more problems with obesity, blood sugar issues, diabetes, and they're the people that cannot have carbs, and they tend to do better with protein. It doesn't have to be animal protein. It can be plant-based protein, of course. So I think the O's and the A's, those are the two extremes. So I see a lot of truth there, but the B's and the ABs, that's a more complicated group, and I really never saw a lot of consistencies there. So that's what I can say about. I can tell you that I integrate and consider the blood types when I'm looking at diets for people, because I do think it tells us a little bit about the genetics of the person and what their tendencies may be. But it's not a be-all or end-all, and nor is any diet. You have to make it fit the individual.
That's perfect. Thank you for that insight. That's really helpful. Thanks for breaking it down.
Actually, now that I've heard his opinion, I'd like to just add a little bit, because I think we can still be on the same page, is that I've thoroughly read the Eat Right for Your Blood Type book. I actually did a whole thesis on it, but what I've concluded is that there is no question, if you eat right, if you eat the way that your blood type is, you will feel better. But here's the problem that I discovered as I dug a little deeper in the book. There is one paragraph that the author shares that where somebody had cancer and say they were type B, they gave them type B food, it was getting worse. So they gave them opposite food to their blood type, the cancer got better. And so basically the conclusion of the matter is that here's the imagery that I'll give, and I'll kind of just leave it with this. If I go to the gym, I love to work on my biceps and my triceps. It's just, I don't like working on my legs. That's just, I don't know, it takes me out of my comfort zone. But if I only worked on my biceps and triceps, my legs would get weak. So although it's uncomfortable for me, it's healthy for me to work out other parts of my body that don't feel the best to work out. And if you only eat right for your blood type, your body naturally has to work hard at digesting other foods. I don't think that means that you should only eat dessert every day. You should be eating things that your body has to work a little harder, because that's what it does. It has to work hard. It has to build antibodies. It has to, it has to learn to fight. So I think that, if you're fighting a disease, very, very chronically ill, then you probably should take it easy on your body and eat things that are more better for your blood type. But the average person should be able to eat a variety of foods, because then it allows your body to just work a little harder at certain things.
Awesome. Thanks to both of you for that insight and perspective. And the last question before I open it up, I'll grab some of what's in the chat, then we'll open up to a live Q&A. How do we know if we are getting enough or not enough sleep for both of you? Enough or not enough sleep, Dr. Dodd? Do you want to give some insights? How do we know if we're getting enough?
Well, certainly the symptoms that sort of walk into my office all the time, people complaining about general fatigue. I mean, one of the questions I'll always ask is, tell me what your energy is on a scale from 1 to 10 on average. And many people are coming in at 5 or lower. So they're typically not waking up feeling rested, not getting enough sleep. The classic afternoon fade after lunch, are probably not eating the foods that are right for them, and certainly as they get a bit older, requiring naps. So generally, when I see that kind of a profile, I know that they're not getting enough sleep and they're not getting enough quality sleep.
Okay, that's helpful to know. Carolyn, did you want to add anything?
I would just add to that exactly what he had said. Of course, and I'm sure Dr. Dodds knows that there also could be foods that are robbing you of energy, or whether you're having caffeine or things like that. But most people will rob themselves of sleep before anything else, which is horrendous, but that's what we do. But anyway, that being said, is check your hours. Are you getting 7 to 9 hours of solid, uninterrupted sleep? If you are not, you're not getting enough sleep. And like you said, do you wake up rested? Well, some people still get 7 to 9 hours sleep, but because they had a big dinner and they're digesting their food all night, they wake up so tired. So it's not always the best gauge, but if you wake up tired all the time, are you getting 7 hours of solid, uninterrupted sleep? I mean, that's just where it needs to be.
Mm-hmm. And just a follow-up to that, is there an ideal time, and I did see it in your video, to be in bed? And why is staying after 12 so dangerous, staying up after 12?
The human body, like as far as hormones are balancing, the waste system goes into play. Scientifically speaking, that happens between the hours of like around 9 and 10 and about 1 o'clock in the morning. And if you're awake during that time, you're going to have hormones that are off balance. Your waste system is not going to properly go into play. And scientifically speaking, so the ideal schedule, honestly, if we all could, we should be asleep by like 9 or 9:30 and up by like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. Now that's not realistic for everybody, but if we can get in bed by 10 and wake up about 5:36, that is perfect, beautiful, healing sleep. And anytime we cross that midnight hour, your body, scientifically speaking, starts doubling up on the amount of cortisol you're releasing. So your body goes into stress after midnight. And so you're actually losing about 2 hours of sleep, scientifically speaking, for every hour you're up after midnight. So, once in a while you have a function, but this cannot be an everyday lifestyle thing.
That is so critical. I'm guilty, I'll be honest. I need to change it. My goal is 10 o'clock.
My goal is 10 o'clock. I don't always get there, but I get pretty close.
That's awesome. So we do have some people who sent in questions by email who are here. There's one from Marcia, and she has a question about fatigue. So I guess somewhat of a follow-up. Is there something she could do to increase her feeling fatigued through food, foods that would give you more energy? And I mean, based on what you said, it does seem like beef up on those plants and fruits, right? Are there supplements that will help with her energy?
Maybe Dr. Dodd wants to.
Maybe Dr. Dodd, in terms of low energy, people feeling fatigued.
Well, again, when people complain about low energy, I mean, I guess part of an assessment, I mean, certainly you're doing a dietary assessment, but also from an organ perspective, I'm concerned about the digestive system, and I'm also concerned about the adrenals. Sometimes the adrenal glands, which produce adrenaline and the cortisol that was previously mentioned, it's all produced from that gland. So again, sometimes it would be necessary if change in diet is not bringing about the necessary result, then it might make sense to be assessed and find out what's happening with the adrenals.
Okay, that's helpful. We have a question that was sent by email from Erica, who I believe is on the call, and it has to do with IBS. Are there certain foods that can trigger IBS if somebody has IBS? She was asking about mango and papaya. I don't know, Carolyn, if you wanted to comment on that.
Yeah,
IBS.
so everybody's body is different as far as IBS goes, but those big salads that I was talking about, you can't really have them. Like raw foods are troublesome for those on IBS. Beans, like that is like a death sentence for somebody with IBS. So it is a very customized program. More soft foods, generally mango and papaya, I haven't seen that creates an issue, but that person outside of having IBS may have some sort of an aversion to it. Generally, as far as fruits goes, you want to go with easier to digest ones, more like your berries or apples, sometimes even without the skin. Bananas and melons can be trouble for people with IBS. But like I'm sure Dr. Dodds would say, we'd really have to do an assessment on their health before we can make the recommendations. But generally, people with IBS can't really have beans. Some can have salads, but usually can't have a lot of raw foods. Even some nuts and seeds can be a problem. And of course, without saying it, wheat, dairy, meat, those are problematic.
Thanks for that. Then we had another question. This is the last question submitted online as well prior to the workshop from Shelley. And it's about the pros and cons of Irish sea moss and burdock root and soursop leaf, which is very common, especially within the Caribbean culture. Any of you want to comment? Are those power foods, superfoods?
well, certainly the Irish moss and the soursop are. Well, I've had to myself go into the research and find out about it because, unfortunately, some of the Caribbean-based foods are not taught in the North American schools. But for example, those two examples. They are superfoods. They're superfoods of the Caribbean, very, very high nutrient foods, along with other foods like okra. Okra probably has the greatest amount of nutrients of any green vegetable I can think of. So I would, I'd probably put Irish moss and soursop in that category. And soursop is now being used in cancer treatment as well.
Very good. Did you want to add quickly, Carolyn?
No, I just wanted to say that that's 110% true, but I don't want everybody listening to run out and go get soursop, to run out and go get Irish moss. The truth is that if you continue to put superfoods and all of these nutrients in your body all the time, they don't become superfoods anymore. If you're sick, you have an issue, your immune system is low, okay, then let's add these nutrients. But a lot of us are literally putting our money down the toilet, literally, because we are constantly buying supplements, constantly buying superfoods, and using them unnecessarily and unwisely. So you don't want to overstimulate and overboost your immune system unnecessarily.
And I guess it's called a boost for a reason, like use it with that temperance and moderation in terms of as an add-on to eating the right way. So that's really helpful. So we are going to take, and we can't take all the questions in the chat, but I'm scanning here because some were sent to me privately. Then I'll invite Malua to see if there's anyone who wants to add to some of these questions. And one is some clarification around water. And I mean, I'll add to this question because I know where this question is going about boiling the water, having mineral water, there's all types of water, alkaline water, room temperature water. So do you have just a general rule of thumb or insights on what is the best type of water to have and the best temperature? And having water before bed was another question. People are saying you do, you don't.
Yeah, well, okay. I'll just answer that quickly because time is short, if that's okay, Dr.
Yes,
Dodds.
yes.
Sure.
I just will say that You just want your water clean. You don't need to spend money on alkaline water. Let your food be alkaline, let your water be clean. Spring water in a bottle is not regulated. It is worse than tap water. So stop wasting money on spring water. And so maybe like a reverse osmosis or distilled water. If all you can afford is to boil your water, boil it. The chlorine is still going to be in there, but just bless your water and drink it. At least you are drinking water. And you drink too much water closer to bedtime, you are going to wake up and pee all night. So interrupted sleep is not good sleep.
Right.
So cut your water supply off if you have to a couple hours before bed. Take a small sip before you sleep, but don't allow your water to keep you running to the bathroom all the time, and just get it as clean as possible.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And we do have a message for Dr. Dodd from Georgina, who says that your IV therapy is one of the best. So that's good to see. And then a last question that I will take from the chat has to do with, I guess for you, Dr. Dodd, around those vitamins you highlighted, C, D, zinc. Can they be taken all together, I guess, or should they be taken separately?
Yes, they can be taken. In fact, they should be taken with food. That way, it latches on to the food and is more easily absorbed. And they can be taken together.
Awesome.
Along with the probiotic. I know there's a lot of controversy with probiotics as whether you should take it on an empty stomach or whether you should take it with the food. My belief is, and understanding is that when you have a full stomach or have your probiotic with food, you're kind of protecting the probiotic, the bacteria, from action by the stomach with the stomach acid, and so that as a result, you're going to get more bacteria getting through the stomach and into the small intestine, which is where you want it. If it just gets fried by the stomach acid on an empty stomach, you're less likely to get a greater number of bacteria through the system.
Wow. Thank you for that clarification. And I hope that answers your question. And, in the interest of time, it is 8:19, and I know Carolyn has a hard stop at 8:30. So, Malua, I'll invite you to come on camera now and just see if we could take a couple quick questions. We could probably do two really burning questions from anyone. Either they could put it in the chat or they could unmute themselves. So, Malua, would you like to join us to do that?
Yep. Hello, everyone. Really enjoying this session. Thank you, Carolyn and Dr. Dodd, for your insightful information. It's been so great. I've also been taking some notes. So yes, I would encourage anyone to put your questions in the chat and we can start a conversation going with our great guest speakers. I see one here from Kiko, who says that my daughter has stage 4 cancer and does not want to do any more conventional treatment. Dr. Dodd, I see Vit C here. I'm going to assume it's vitamin C, IV therapy.
Well, I mean, vitamin C IV therapy is available, and so they can certainly work with a naturopath who's doing that. But I would say of all the cancer therapies, vitamin C is probably one of the most common and most used for dealing with a variety of cancers, mainly because the vitamin C gets taken up by the cancer cell, and the cancer cell converts the vitamin C into hydrogen peroxide and kills the cell or accelerates the cell's death. So that's the process or the mechanism of how vitamin C works with cancer.
Thank you for that. And just scrolling back up, I see a question here. What is the difference from Sapphire, what is the difference between ionic cleansing and dietary cleansing, such as fasting?
Well, the two can be done simultaneously, but the ionic cleanse tends to get the negatively charged toxins that are often difficult to pull out of the body compared to water-soluble toxins, which I think fasting and some of the dietary detox programs will use. So sometimes utilizing the two of them together is sometimes a better situation. I mean, they're depending on the types of toxins, especially environmental toxins, like for example, like glyphosates, which are for Roundup, which is what they spray on most of our food. It's very difficult to pull that out of the body, even with fasting and juice cleanses. And so something like the Ionic Cleanse will pull out some of those tough to deal with chemicals.
Interesting.
And we have time for one last question because of time. So you can grab one last question.
Also, if I could just say that there's a lot of questions in the chat and some very good ones about, you know, working long shifts or tiredness or diseases. And both Dr. Dodds and myself have shared our information. So like, you feel free to just reach out to us direct, go on the website. You can, for myself, you can just click on that consultation tab, fill in your information, or even just send a question or an email. So, you know, there are very simple answers or remedies to whatever you're dealing with. You don't need to suffer alone. But yeah, there's a lot of questions, and I know we can't get to all of them, but there's answers and there's remedies. We just don't have all the time to deal with them. So get in touch with us.
Yes, and the website is in the chat, and we do send a follow-up email to everyone who registered where you'll get the links and the contact for both Carolyn and Dr. Dodd. So in the interest of time, we are going to do the survey. So I'm going to put the link for the survey inside the chat. So the purpose of the survey is to really help us to measure the effectiveness of these types of workshops and the content, and to see how much value each of you got from it and what you've learned. So if you could take the time, just a few moments to complete that. And if you'd like to win a grocery store gift card, you provide us with your email, and then you'd be entered for a chance to win. So I do want to say, on behalf of the Olive Branch of Hope, just a warm thank you to both Carolyn and Dr. Dodd for their time, their expertise, their insight. And it's so great to see people like yourselves who are passionate about what you do and who love what you do and are investing in the lives of people and their health, because our health is our wealth. I'm a firm believer of that. And so just thanks again on behalf of the Olive Branch of Hope. So if either of you, need to go, feel free, you can be excused. But if you're able to stay for a few more minutes, that would be great. We're going to give folks some time just to complete the questionnaire that I put in the chat. We really hope that each of you found this valuable. It is our last of the wellness series, but it is not the last event for the Olive Branch. The Olive Branch has a gala. They have walkathons, but I don't know if the walkathon will be happening, but so many great things, so many great ways to support the organization. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, so you can plug in, you can see what we're doing, see what we have coming up. If you know anybody who has cancer, it is a good place to just plug into for support, even for prayer, for resources. They're that one-stop shop for our community, at least to give you some guidance. So I highly suggest that you tell everyone you know that the Olive Branch is here for women battling cancers and their families. Especially for those of you who may be caregivers. I was somebody who was a caregiver of my late mother until she passed from cancer, and the Olive Branch was there for me and very helpful with giving me the emotional and spiritual support I needed. So we really hope you found this valuable. Thank you again for joining us. Please do take the time to complete the survey, because it's really helpful in allowing us to continue to do these type of workshops and measure its success. And so we'll just give you some time to do that, and then I may invite Miss Leela back if she wants to say a few words, and then we sign out.
Yeah, and I also wanted to thank you guys for inviting. I'll just speak for myself instead of Mr. Dodds, but I'm sure he's going to echo the same thing. But thank you for giving us this opportunity. I mean, I'm just so passionate about helping people, because I believe it's simple. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it does require a bit of discipline for sure. But I thank you for allowing me to share, because it's just my passion to be able to give as much free information as I can to people, so that they can change their health, because it's truly the greatest of all human blessings.
Yes, thank you, Carolyn. Dr. Dodd, did you have any final words or anything you want to say?
Absolutely, just that we're really, from a global perspective, we really are under siege. And I guess if there's any been any kind of a silver lining or blue sky moment is that I think more people are talking and thinking about and working on their health, particularly their immune system. And I'm hoping that with this pandemic, once we pass through it, that people are going to look at their health differently. I know it's impacted my practice. My practice is busier than pre-COVID, and I know that people are awakening to a healthier lifestyle and a little bit more use of natural medicine. And so I'm hoping I can continue to be a big part of that, and hopefully it'll become a worldwide phenomenon.